Failing a test sucks, but what you do next matters more. And this AI trick might just change everything. Hi there, my name is Prash, and I share tips and tricks to help families feel less overwhelmed and more in control. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step process and how you can use AI to ace your next test. How to make a practice test and answer key. I work with a lot of students who, when they fail an exam, it's because they haven't practiced effectively or they haven't studied effectively. For the most part, they will open up their notes, read their notes, and hope that that will translate to them doing well on their test the next day. That way of studying is an example of passive learning. And there's a lot of research shows that passive learning is not the most effective way to actually study for an exam. What's more effective than passive learning is active learning. Some examples are working on equations and word problems for an upcoming science or math exam. For humanities, it can look like writing short answer responses or doing fill-in-the-blank responses. The goal of active learning is to apply the things you've learned in class. And research shows that the more you can apply something you're learning, the more your brain remembers it. So in this example, by asking AI to make a practice test and setting time to actually do the practice test, then you are practicing active learning. Quick disclaimer, I will be using the paid version of ChatGPT. You can use the free version of ChatGPT, totally fine, but just want to throw it out there that I am using the paid one. Here is a prompt that I made for a practice test for my 9th grader who wants to retake their math exam on square roots. Here's another prompt that I made with my 11th grader who wanted to study for their upcoming Spanish exam using fill-in-the-blank problems and short answer problems. Let's say that now that you have the practice exam and you worked on the problems and you looked at the answer key and you're unsure how the answer key got what it got. Or maybe the AI is hallucinating and just gave you a random answer and you want to make sure that you know how to do it right so you can beat the AI. In that case, you're probably wondering how to get unstuck with AI. There are 3 tips you can use when prompting AI to help you with getting unstuck. Number 1, you can ask it to explain things to you in a step-by-step way. This is really great for math problems, science problems, and if you're doing grammar and essay writing, I think it's okay to have a step-by-step breakdown of it. So if it's explaining how to do a square root function, but you don't know how they got all of the terms into one side, you might want to ask it to say something like, explain how you got this part of the equation. Or if it's giving you really long answers, you might want to say something like, please try again with 5 bullet points in total. With asking for clarity, the goal there is to be as specific as possible on the response that you want the AI to improve on. The second tip is you can ask the AI for analogies. So if you're really stuck on like a science concept around like thermodynamics and the equation's just like not clicking for you, you can ask the AI to come up with an analogy for that concept and something you're interested in, like sports or movies and shows. And ideally, by seeing a response based off things that you're interested in, it's going to start to help you make connections of what you know and what you don't know, and ideally slowly bridge that gap because you're learning this new content with your prior knowledge. And the third tip I'll give you is to try to be polite when you are asking for clarity or asking to get unstuck or asking for step-by-step solutions. There's a lot of articles nowadays that's which I'll link some in the description below, that is showing that when there are polite prompts, when we're saying please and thank yous, the AI is also responding in that manner. And psychologically, when we're reading these responses, I think our brains are just understanding it a little bit more because in general, I think in our day-to-day interactions with people and friends, it tends to be polite, and the more we can mimic that as we're working with AI tools, the more it can also kind of help and aid in our learning because we're working off of something that feels familiar to us. Now that you know how to make a practice exam and an answer key, and you know some tips that can help you better prompt AI if you are stuck on solving a particular problem, now the next thing you probably need to know is what's a good study plan that I can use to help me really ace that test. As you know, studying for an exam or a retake multiple times versus once will probably lead to better outcomes for you. So in this case, if you want to make a study plan, you can also prompt AI to help you make a study plan. It can be the same chat or it can be a different chat. I think if it's in the same chat, it'll help because it already has the context of what you gave it, of what the practice exam is. And it also has the questions that maybe you've asked. In that chat, the more information that the AI knows, the more it can customize a study plan for you. If you give a simple prompt like, thanks ChatGPT, can you now please give me a study plan if I'm going to take my retake in 3 days? What's a study plan that I can do to be best prepared for that? And whatever ChatGPT gives you, you can prompt it again to be more specific on a particular topic, or if it tells you need 5 hours every single day to study, and that's not realistic, you can tell it to be like, okay, give me another study plan where it's an hour a day. That's what I can do. Now that you've co-created a study plan with ChatGPT and you're having an inkling that you might not be able to fully follow through, you might want to go ahead and try these 3 things. 1, letting someone know about your study plan. The more accountability you have and the more you manifest it to others that you want to do something, the likelihood of you doing it goes higher. Number 2, set up an alarm. Let's say that you want to start studying at 5 p.m. and you set up an alarm. Then by 5 p.m., you'll get a cue that yes, you should turn off the alarm, but ideally it'll also encourage you to start studying. Versus if you were trying to self-regulate yourself to do it without an alarm, it might be harder to pause your activity, especially if it's fun, like doom scrolling. All right, tip number 3, there's a concept called body doubling, which means that if you are in a place or environment where other people are doing the same thing that you want to do, then your brain feels more welcome to try and do that. And if you imagine a situation where you are by yourself at home and you're trying to push and motivate yourself to start studying, it might be more difficult than if you're in a library or a cafe and you see other people doing it. It just signals your brain to, hey, maybe it's time for me to do the thing I don't want to do. And once you're starting, I'm sure the momentum will continue. I think the most difficult part really is starting, and I hope that these 3 tips of having an accountability buddy, setting an alarm, and going to a different environment will help you push through those challenges of starting to study. With that, let me know in the comments below, what AI prompt do you want to use to help you prepare for your next test? In my next video, I will go over how you can turn your notes into flashcards with a few clicks using Quizlet's AI tool. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Peace!